University. Today we're going to be working with Infor FACTS, and we're going to go over the daily sales register, known as a DSR, which is part of the end-of-day process for sales orders. So let's begin. For purpose of today's demo, we're going to be using FACTS 7.7 for the demo. This webinar is being recorded. It will be available on our website, so you can visit us at www.michellgroup.com to view this, plus our other training videos. So let's begin. So here in FACTS, we're going to go into sales order. And first, let's go into file maintenance and see some setup. So we're going to go to file maintenance, the infrequent file maintenance, and we're going to look at the static control settings. So in here, we set up our basics of FACTS in the system. And if we look here on the miscellaneous, we have here the DSR recap, the daily sales report recap. So this allows us to see what options and how we want to run this report. So you can see here, for purpose of the demo, we have them all turned on. But here we have the options of looking at the terminal code. This will be where the order was entered. The warehouse that's involved. Our demo has 2 warehouses, Atlanta and Dallas. Our salesperson and territory, our terms code, our department, and any remote sales. And you can set these options just by adding them up here. You can see we've got all of them in here. We're going to use all those. And here we have the period to date information being displayed on the report. So this is how we can set the report. So again, depending on how you run your business and how you set up, this is important in the initial setup. If you only have one warehouse, and obviously you don't need to have warehouses. Most people don't use the terminal codes. Most people do have sales territories. And again, if you have departments, you may have sales territories and departments. But this is, again, up to you to set it up, and this is how the report will run. And that was in the sales order, the infrequent file maintenance, and it's under the static control file maintenance under the miscellaneous tab here. Okay, so let's look at sales. We can see here if we go under invoicing, we have our invoice process. And one of the things we do at the end of the day is our daily sales register. What this allows us to do is give us a recap of all the transactions. These are all the invoices that were done either that day or from the previous time we posted or updated the daily sales register. So normally we do this at the end of each day. But if I only want to run this on Fridays, let's say, when I run it and I've been placing orders all week, I will get all the orders in the system. What this does is the final step of the invoicing. Remember, FACTS is what we've known as batch processing, which means we follow the principle of enter, print, and update. So there's a point where we enter, like in this case, we enter orders and we confirm them into invoices, or we enter direct invoices and credits. We print. We're going to print the daily sales register. And then at one point we update. So we can print it to confirm the data, we update. Once we do that, all those invoices that are on that daily sales register will be updated and update all the historical files. And those invoices will be off the system. No, you won't be able to make any changes to them. So once you've done that, if there's a mistake, then you have to create a credit and so on and make adjustments. So you can see here under the invoicing tab, we have the daily sales register. So we're going to go ahead and enter and click this. Now, for purpose of the demo today, I have my my computer set on January 2nd, 2012. But you can see here, working with FACTS, we can see that my demo, the current period for sales order is June of 2010, and the GL current period is also June of 2010. So that means I'm going to have to enter a date within that range for this to work. So I'm going to go ahead and enter June 15th, 2010, just letting me know that the date I entered is not the system date, not the date of the computer, which is okay. Here I've got my warehouses. So again, I can select, you can see here I have 2 warehouses. That's why I'm running mine by warehouse. I'm going to go ahead and select all warehouses. I can look at my departments. Again, I have 2 different departments here. Okay, so I'm going to select all departments. And then here, the scope, I want to run summary detail. So we'll do first, we'll start with with the summary, and then we'll go into the detail to show you the difference of the two reports. I'm going to go ahead and run summary, and I'm going to click OK. So what it's going to do, it's going to give me some information. It's going to tell me that there's no service and repair register. There's nothing to print. That's because I just have my demo set up for service and repair, but we're not using that. So here's my daily sales register. So if you look here on the top, these are the invoices. So you can see here I have these invoices. I have invoice 1930, 31, 32, 33, and 34. So I have 5 invoices that were created. These are the dates of the creation. Again, here's all the codes. And if you get confused, you can see the codes are down here. You can see TC is the terminal code. All right, I did it all from one terminal. You can see the asterisk. It means this one was over the credit limit. You can look at the initiating warehouse. These all came from warehouse 01, Atlanta. Again, you can look at here the sales territory. And again, you're seeing this information because I've actually set that up for it to print. We'll turn some of these off and run it again so you can see how it'll work. So again, here you have the document. You can see here that this is the original document. This D206, these were 2 direct invoices that came in. So we're looking at our invoices. We have 5 invoices, all for the same customer. We have our sales and our cost of sales and our gross profit, our gross margin percentage. You can see here, and then we have, in this case, this one has tax and this one has freight. Any discounts will be here, and here's our totals. So we have a breakdown here, so we can see in the register, we have 5. You can see the total here, an average. You can see the total sales, total cost. Our overall total gross margin percent is 19.3. Total tax, total freight, total discount, and then the net total here. So we're looking at this one here. Then the total cash, and this is important when we're dealing with a lot of like cash or retail because we'll get our recap of our cash. You can see here that there was actually no cash. You can see the AR totals and any deposits applying. So this is important because what it's saying is that since these were all invoices that were on account, they're going to be in the aging. So this should be, what's going to happen is my total AR is going to go to these amounts here. If I had cash, I would see a breakdown of what's cash, and I can use that to balance with my cash registers. And then we have our recap down here. Again, how we asked for it. Remember, we asked for terminal. So we're looking at the terminal IDs. I think we were terminal 2. Here, the master terminal. And you can see, remember, we asked for period to date. So we've got the period to date information. So we've got the total number of invoices. We got what was cash, actual monies, okay, what was sales, cost of sales, and again, our tax rate discount, and then our totals at the end. Then we have the breakdown of warehouse. We're asking for both warehouses here. So again, we're looking at our 2 warehouses. And then we ask for a recap of salespeople. So again, we're getting our recap of salespeople. Again, we're following the same columns. We're looking at cash, sales, cost of sales, and so on. And then we have our terms codes and our department, and then our remote sales, which is down here. So our department remote sales. So if you remember, what we did is if we go back into that, that's how we ran that report. So this is our daily recap. The next thing that we're going to print is the GL distribution. This is going to tell me how we're going to post. Remember, we talked about the growth, the inventory and the cost. Here is going to be the accounts receivable. So this is going to be the total. So if you look at this first invoice, it's $780. That's a debit to the accounts receivable. That's what the customer owes me. The offsetting credit would be here in the sales. Make this a little bit bigger. See, we have our offsetting sales. We have our inventory, which is a reduction of credit because that's the cost of goods. So here we have the debit to AR. We have the credit to, the debit to AR is the offsetted by the credit to sales. These two here. The inventory and cost are offset against each other. And these should always be the same. because what we're saying is that the cost of goods for this one was $581.85. So that's the cost. That's what I'm reducing from the inventory. So these two will always be the same. The total AR and the total sales are going to be different because of things like sales tax and other information. Remember, the AR is actually what the customer owes you. So there's going to be the total is $780, but you can see the sales was $750. And the reason why we have that is because of this $30 here. So if you look at invoice 1930, the entire invoice was $780. That's what the customer owes. That's my debit. But my sale of goods, which is going to this account, was $750. And then my sales tax payable, if I charge tax, was this amount here. So this is how I'm getting to the $780, the $750 plus this. The rest should kind of be equal again, but we have some other issues with freight. So this one here, 1933, has freight, so you'll see that's going to be a difference. This is again my debits and credits. And then when I'm done, here I have the option. If I say yes to update, it'll actually post. So we're going to leave this at no. I'm going to click OK. And again, you can see the update was not run. So we can go back in. We can also run this in a detail. So let's go in here and let's do detail. What detail is going to do was we saw those 5 orders. It's going to give us the additional breakdown of the 5 orders. Again, we don't have anything in the service and repair, so we do this. Most of our clients don't really run this because you can see the report starts to get a little bit messy after a while. But what we're doing here is we're looking at those invoices and we're looking at the items. So here's my invoice again for this. Again, the sales of $750 plus the $30 in tax, so the $780, and there's the item that was sold. So we have a breakdown. And again, depending how you want to run this, you can run it either way. One of the other options that FACTS has is an archiving system. So a lot of our clients do, they use the archive, and what the archive does will actually just save this report in a file, so I don't have to actually print and waste paper. I can go back and take a look at it. But again, the difference between the summary and detail is going to be up here. The detail is going to give you the items that are involved on the invoices, and the summary is just going to give you the invoices. We have our information down here. Same holds true for the GL distribution. It's going to be, again, the distribution. That doesn't change. If it's summary or detail, it remains the same. And we're going to say no to that. So let's go back into file maintenance. Let's go to infrequent file maintenance, our static control, and we're going to go to miscellaneous. And let's take off the period to date, and let's go here. And let's say we want to do, we don't really care about the terminal. Let's say we want to see the warehouse because we have multiple warehouses. We want to see the sales person, and we just want the department. Okay, because let's say we don't do remote sales and we don't care about the terminals. We're going to click OK. We're going to save that. Again, we took the period to date off. Okay, so let's go back in now and run it. And we'll run it in summary. And we'll see here that our recap at the bottom, again, it's a little cleaner report. This is why a lot of people like to run it this way. Because, again, I can check, again, my summary. I'm looking at my 5 invoices. I have the invoices in front of me. I can balance my register pretty quick. I have 2 warehouses. In this case, we don't have, everything's in the warehouse Atlanta. We have our sales territory. And then we have our 2 departments. So we can do it this way. If we run it in detail, this information is going to remain the same. This is going to give you the items down here. Plus, you notice it's a lot cleaner because we don't have that period to date information. We'd say yes to the register. So again, here's all the information. And then the final thing we need to do is update. So here we're going to say yes to update, because after we've checked everything, we're going to run our update. You can see now what it's done is updated, going through. Very important when this does run, if you get an error for any reason, you need to leave it on the screen and give us a call, because we're actually updating historical files. So now when I go back to the daily sales register and I go to run this, run it the same way we've been running it, we're going to get nothing to print. That's because we just posted. So now all those invoices have actually been updated and they're in our historical data. So if we were to go to, say, inquiries and go to document inquiry, I believe one of those was past invoices. I believe it was 00-1926, I want to say. There it is. And we can see now that it's in history. Again, we can also search here. And again, we can look at all the information we have. Here's one of the ones here. It's actually 1930. Right here, because you can see the dates here. And again, there it is. You can see here's all the information. So at that point, once I run my daily sales register and I update, what I've done is I've actually now updated all my historical files. Right? So let's recap what we went over today. And we're working with Infor FACTS version 7.7. And we talked about the setup and the execution of the daily sales register, known as the DSR. The DSR will give us a list of all the invoices that we have in the system. It'll give a breakdown depending on how we want to set it up of that list. And then it'll give us our GL distribution. This is what's going to happen to General Ledger when we actually go ahead and run this, the debits and credits to the corresponding accounts. And then the last thing we can do is we can run, at the end, we can say yes to update. What it'll do is you'll see it'll update all the files. Again, very important while this is running, if you do incur an error, to leave it on the screen, because we are updating historical files, so we don't want to have duplicate data or missing data. And at that point, once it's done, everything is in history. You can see from the order inquiry. So that concludes our little webinar today on the daily sales register at the end of day. Once again, we are recording this webinar. It's going to be available on our website. You can visit us at www.michellgroup.com to view this, plus all our other training videos in our series. And once again, we thank you for your time.